Hello everyone, this is Rohit and we welcome you to our latest episode on Sports Amaze, and this is going to be a story of one of the simplest footballers of all time. A story that tells you the fabled rise from the ashes right to the pinnacle of the world. A story that will keep you hooked until the very end. It is about one of the most simplest and yet one of the best footballers of the world. A story that riveted all the fanfare across the entire world was the rise of a skinny lad from the Balkan war zone to global prominence as he stood at the biggest podium, holding the FIFA Golden Ball Award. Illusions come to a halt here as we look at the 32-year-old Croatian skipper, aka the midfield general at Santiago Bernabeu, Luka Modric. This is the story of the bony lad who started from scratch and now boasts a rating of 89 in FIFA 20, an inviolable climb up the rungs of greatness. Modric is currently the skipper of the Croatian national team and went on to end his World Cup on a high note after he became the Golden Ball winner at FIFA World Cup 2018 in Russia. His latest achievement included the triumph at the biggest award show of football. To be specific, the biggest individual award show of football, Ballon d'Or. He was the first one to end the duopoly of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi at the turn of the decennium. Despite the fact that he is quite renowned and one of the most coveted players across the globe now, once upon a time in his life this was only a dream which was on the verge of being shattered day in, day out. Also, despite being a fine midfielder who was touted to be a master of simple football with clinical passes, his FIFA rating only went up to 89 in FIFA 20, much lesser than the other stars of the football canon. The story begins something like Modric. He was born on 9th of September 1985 to Stipe Modric and Radočka Dopud. He was raised in the hamlet of Modrici, where Modric's family dwelled. Despite being loved by his parents, he was a lot more intimate with his grandfather, Luka Modric Sr., after whom he was christened. As Croatia declared its independence, Serbs captured the area with the aid of Yugoslav army and nationalist volunteers from Serbia who were a part of the constabulary called SAO Krajina. They had the intention of snapping communication between two parts of the country, thereby compounding its post-independent ordeals. On 18th December 1991, the only crime which was committed by Luka Modric Sr. was going up the hill for his cattle to graze, and he was shot there in cold blood along with 5 others. This was a coup by the Serbs in an attempt to insinuate the other Croats who failed to escape about the further slaughter in quick succession. With his grandfather assassinated in cold blood, Modric was left devastated at the age of 6. His family fled from the home, which was reportedly put to the torch right after their departure. They took shelter in Hotel Is in the town of Zanda, which always suffered power cuts and was plagued with a shortage of water. However, these plights seemed absolutely insignificant in front of the daily barrage of bombardment, spate of grenades, and spraying of bullets from the Serbian army. These came with vicious threats of landmines being planted at every nook and cranny. In those days, Luka was just a young kid kicking the football as hard as he could have, thereby trying to drown the thunderous hums of bombs, bullets, and grenades. Always being in the midst of an overactive war zone, he got used to the reeking stench of death. However, he still kept on kicking the ball, probably with a dazed dream in his eye of kicking the ball into the back of the net past a gigantic custodian someday. Luka's life took flight when Tomislav Basic, one of the early coaches for NK Zadar, took him under his wing. He was trained and honed in the ablest ways possible amidst all the chaos and gruesome war crimes being carried on throughout the country. Modric was rejected by Hajduk Split on account of being too small and fragile. Post that snub, Basic put all his skills to work to hone this raw talent and bring out the best in him. His first shin guards had the picture of Ronaldo embedded in it. Another wild flying story goes like this lad's first pair of shin pads were borrowed one from one of his friends. Basic gave the most important breakthrough in Modric's life as he used his contacts, which included a personal contract with Zdravko Mamic, an influential deal-maker then and now the Dinamo executive director, to make the wonderkind sign for Dinamo Zagreb. At the age of 18, Modric was sent out on loans to Zrinjski in Bosnia and Herzegovina, one of the most brutal leagues in Europe at this point in time, and then he was loaned down to Inter Zaprosic, which was in the suburbs of Zagreb, where opponents hacked his ankle raw. Modric displayed sheer brilliance in these jerseys as he went on to score 8 goals from 22 matches for Zrinjski and 4 goals for Zaprosic from 18 appearances. This is once again where his life took flight. Zagreb made him sign an indenture for 10 years and he was offered a huge sum following his magical spells at the club. Who would have known that this is just the beginning of what is going to be a precipitous ascent in the supple frame character's life? The call came, and it came loud enough for the world to hear. Tottenham Hotspur roped him in. Modric is probably one of the most gracious characters on and off the pitch. His FIFA 20 rating of 89 is also a burning testimony to his fluency on the field. He went on to buy a flat with his first salary in order to strip his parents of the refugee stag and bring them into better living conditions. Being with the club for 4 long years, he secured a move to Spanish giants Real Madrid, where fame, money and flamboyance came hand in hand. Once he came out of the initial fire of baptism, singed in degrees, he started firing on all cylinders. The rest of the story is known to everyone. 3 UEFA Champions League, 1 La Liga, and from there on, he ushered his nation to their best ever finish in FIFA World Cup. Under David Suka, the team finished 3rd in their maiden World Cup campaign, thereby raising everyone's hopes but failed to live up to their expectations under Luka Modric. Under Luka Modric, the team excelled to the finals, coming back from behind twice and playing 3 tormenting games of 120 minutes each, laced with a shootout to polish things off. Modric was a treat for the eyes. He scored only once in the fray, but was the crux of all the intimidating moves made by Croatia. This also justifies his FIFA rating of 89 in the latest version of the blockbuster game. Now here comes an interesting twist in the tale. As aforementioned, Basic signed a personal deal with Mamic to get Modric a chance to play in the colours of Dinamo Zagreb. Mamic is well known for his leverage over the game given his gigantic sources in the world of football. Mamic has also previously made deals with other players in a contract which will ensure a certain percentage of this player's future earnings every month to be sent to Mamic. One of the notable names of Mamic's victims includes Eduardo da Silva, Arsenal's former striker. In an one-off payment, Modric cleared out his erstwhile dues with Mamic. Now, instead of the transfer fee going to Dinamo Zagreb, a bulk of it went to Mamic. Modric was charged with accusations of making false statements, as Mamic was convicted of tax fraud and embezzlement, resulting in a jail term of 6.5 years. However, he got himself covered as he fled to Bosnia to avoid his fate. Hence, this tarnished the reputation of Modric, thereby putting him at loggerheads with Zagreb fans that sang anti-Modric chants and even drew a derogatory graffiti outside Hotel Is, which was the shelter of Modric and his family once. Modric has been lauded by several pundits for playing the game in probably the simplest ways possible, keeping an eye on his teammates and teeing things up for his comrades to score at will. Master at shooting from distance, Modric scored a screamer in the World Cup to pick the Argentine side's ego in a 3-0 thrashing of the previous edition's runners-up. However, football that Modric plays is not one of the most dashing versions that you would probably love to see. He's about simple passes, blistering runs down the middle, proper positioning, and finding his man. These are innate qualities of a footballer which is rare to find these days. Not only does it justify his FIFA rating, but there's possibility that it can go up in the near future in the forthcoming versions. The little kid who probably recited with too much scare in his heart of being skittled out by bullets someday is flying high now. The rebels are probably looking up at him with a desire to give up the guns and join him in the wonderful game. Thank you everyone for joining in with me. This is Rohit signing off from our latest episode on Sports Amaze, and we will be bringing to you other stories which will not only keep you hooked to your seats but at the same time will pick your interest in the game. Please keep on supporting us, and if you like this video, please do share, like and subscribe.